Hello and good evening, fantasy participants and golf professionals. This is Joe Fanelli reporting live from my own bedroom to give you what happened in Week 6 of the Missing Links Fantasy League. It was another week where we just kind of shook our heads and said, hey, that's football. We had the commissioner, who stayed undefeated at 6-0, and we also watched probably the most intense 1 minute simultaneously of football and fantasy that went on for the entire 2012 season, as RG3 was running a 76-yard scamper into the fourth quarter to close out the Minnesota Vikings and score for a touchdown en route, making the Blair Walsh Project believe that he should have put him in. A.J. Feely had a kick that was tipped against the Buffalo Bills from 37 yards, which ultimately decided the game as the Bills lost in overtime, and Russell Wilson threw a 41-yard bomb to Sidney Rice, which closed out the Patriots 24-23. Don't know if y'all caught that on Sunday, but it was pretty awesome to watch. Now, pay respects to probably one of the best wide receivers known to man. I'd like to pay congratulations to our man, Larry Fitzgerald, who, pretty cool t-shirt, isn't it? You wish you had one. He was the second fastest player to record 10,000 yards, only to Randy Moss, another player who spent some time in Minnesota. Only Larry did it in high school. Anyways, pretty impressive stuff. 10,000 yards before the age of 30. Anyways, I know you don't want to hear me talk about anything serious, and I do apologize that I'm in normal attire this evening. Now, sorry, hold on, we gotta get our notes up here. Okay. By the way, what did you guys think of that presidential debate last night? Who cares? Okay. Now, on to the fastest 3 minutes of fantasy football. Touchdown there against the Moose Knuckle Mongrels. Touchdown there was able to get an unbelievable performance again out of A.J. Green. The guy's hands must be made of butterflies. 7 catches for 135 yards and 2 scores en route to 35 points, despite Eric Decker, who had 6 catches for 98 yards and a touchdown to help the Moose Knuckle Mongrels just eclipse that 100-point mark. Touchdown there now moves to an undefeated 6-0 to join the Atlanta Falcons as the only teams in the league to do so. 154, 118.5 as the Moose Knuckle Mongrels remain winless. Pettigrew Mia Blunt for Percy against Rack the Skins. Pettigrew Mia Blunt for Percy was led by Percy Harvin himself, who had 11 catches for 133 yards and a score en route to 33 points. Rack the Skins had Vincent Jackson, who had 4 catches for 66 yards and 2 scores en route to 23 points. Rack the Skins now moves to 1-5, unfortunately, as Pettigrew Mia Blunt for Percy downs him 153 to 128.5, and Pettigrew Mia Blunt for Percy moves to 4-2. Rosa Parks in the shotgun against Rack City Bitch. Rack City Bitch was able to finally get a solid day out of Aaron Rodgers, who threw for 338 yards and 6 touchdowns en route to 41 points. Rosa Parks in the shotgun was led by Tom Brady, who threw the ball 58 times. Are you kidding me? 395 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions en route to that loss to the Seattle Seahawks for 23 points. Rack City Bitch now moves to 3-3 as Rosa Parks in the shotgun moves to 2-4. Rack City Bitch wins 155 to 108. Left Coast Stevenson absolutely embarrassed Cam Juice. Cam Juice, I wouldn't come out of your house on Tuesday morning if I was you. Losing 201 to 96.5. Left Coast Stevenson is led by Sean Green, who had 32 attempts for 161 yards and 3 touchdowns en route to 37 points. And that was just one of 3 players on his roster who scored over 30 points. Cam Juice is led on Monday night's matchup by Antonio Gates, who had 6 catches for 85 yards and 2 scores en route to 27 points. Still couldn't get to 100. That's embarrassing. Pussies Were Never Heroes was able to defeat Texans Unite 155-114 as Jordy Nelson has 9 catches for 121 yards and 3 scores en route to 42 points as Texans Unite, he had absolutely no support from the Texans, just right in the heart of Texas. Randall Cobb, 7 catches, 102 yards for 23 points, which moves us to our Monday Night Football matchup as the Concord Connection was able to hold off the Blair Walsh Project 155.5 to 154.5 as it came down to Willis McGahee versus Malcolm Floyd and Ryan Matthews. To end out the evening, the Concord Connection held them off. That's just too bad. Jeremy Macklin led the way for the Concord Connection with 6 catches for 130 yards and a touchdown en route to 28 points as the Blair Walsh Project was led by Michael Vick, who had 370 all-purpose yards and 2 scores. And what's a Michael Vick stat line without talking about the turnovers? He had 2 interceptions and a lost fumble as well, en route to 26 points. This concludes our Week 6 fantasy recap. How did I do? I gotta stop with the BS and just keep on going. I mean, I'm never gonna get this 3 minutes if I don't do something different. Anyways, fastest 3 minutes and 29 seconds was brought to you in part by Post Road Pumpkin Ale. Go down to your local 7-Eleven or liquor store and pick some up, because this stuff's good. Okay, moves us to our Come On Man segment of the show. First off, in Come On Man, is the Blair Walsh Project, who failed to start Robert Griffin III over Michael Vick, and I understand his philosophy in not wanting to start him against, the ever-porous Minnesota Vikings defense. But it in fact turned out to be the difference in the week as RG3 remains to be the #1 scoring quarterback in all of fantasy football, who had 37 points. And you know what? It honestly was a sensible start if you count out the fact that he had a 76-yard score there in the fourth quarter, which was the second longest touchdown by a quarterback, only to Cordell Stewart, who had one in 1996. So I don't know if you can really come on man him for that one. But on the other hand, we had Cammy Cam Juice, who scored 96.5 points on the week. And he just had a rough go with the buys. But nonetheless, not being able to put up 100 points. Come on, man! And our third come on, man, I hope everybody saw it, was Eric Decker in the Monday Night Football game. I have seen the Great Wall of China. I have seen the Pyramids of Egypt. I have even seen a grown man satisfy a camel. But I have never, ever in my life seen somebody with the whole field in front of him. And he just absolutely eats it. And he only had a 55-yard reception out of the deal. I mean, I don't know if y'all saw it. I wish I had some kind of graphics to show you. But it was embarrassing. I mean, no player should trip over their own feet when going to the end zone. Anyways, Tyler Jaramillo, still unbeaten, 6-0. Somebody's got to beat him. I mean, this is getting unbelievable. Hopefully, one of us can do it. This is Joe Fanelli with your Week 6 fantasy recap of the Missing Links Fantasy League. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow night to Thursday Night Football, as it is the Seattle Seahawks versus the San Francisco 49ers. Should be a fun one. Not many fantasy points are going to be scored on either side. I don't think so anyway. Until next time, stay up on the waiver wire, as it is always changing, and there is always injuries out there that happen to our fellow fantasy players. So long, and good night.